Welcome back to the Awakening with Kelvin Piri podcast and to another episode of the Bridges to Prosperity series. In our last video, we explored a bold what-if question. What if Zambia, Zimbabwe and Malawi ever became one country, or at least had a much deeper form of cooperation? I thought it was just going to be a historical and economic discussion. But what happened in the comment section was something else. It turned into a mirror reflecting how we see each other as neighbors in Southern Africa, the hopes, the fears, the pride, the frustrations, and unfortunately even some of the prejudices. So this episode is built directly from your comments. I'm not speaking theory today. I'm speaking from what you wrote. The excitement, the resistance, the humor, the pain, and the wisdom that came through. Before we get into it, let me give a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for education and discussion only. I am not campaigning for any federation. I am not calling for borders to be changed, and I am not pushing any political agenda. We are simply exploring ideas about history, identity, and regional cooperation in the same way people analyze the European Union or ECOWAS or SADC. Please do your own research, seek different views, and always think for yourself. Now, let's talk. When that video went up, some of you reacted with pure excitement. Comments like, "We can do it, let's go, what are we waiting for?" And that would be wonderful. Others said, "I've dreamed of that day, and if Africa ever becomes the United States of Africa, it has to start here." There were people saying one Africa, one people, and pointing out that our families are already mixed. Zimbabweans with relatives in Malawi and Zambia, Malawians with family in Zambia, Zambians with relatives in Zimbabwe and Mozambique. One brother said every time he goes to Malawi, he talks about this idea of unity because he has relatives in Mozambique, Malawi and Zambia. Another said the border between Zambia and Malawi doesn't really exist in his family. He's literally crossing to Lumezi to see his sick aunt and feels the federation would serve his life better. So we start there with the people on the ground who can already see that our families are not divided the way our maps suggest. For many, the idea of unity is not a fantasy. It's just putting structure onto a reality they are already living. But then the other side of the conversation came in, and this is where it got very real. Some of you said, "No, this will never work." One comment said, "3 poor countries just make a union of poverty." Another said, "Zimbabwe is more strategic with Mozambique and Botswana. What benefit is there in linking with Malawi and Zambia?" There were fears about being landlocked without Mozambique, concerns that Zimbabwe's economy would dominate, and worries that politics and corruption would poison any attempt at deeper integration. People mentioned that Zimbabwe pulled out of the Kazungula Bridge project, and others explained that it was because of fears around diverting traffic away from Bait Bridge. There were genuine arguments about governance models, de facto one-party system versus more open democracies, and whether those systems could even work together in one political structure. Then the conversation went even deeper into identity. Some of you raised the issue of tribes and culture, saying diversity is not always a strength and that a country needs a kind of spiritual unity to function. Others pushed back, pointing out that countries like China or the UK or even Tanzania and Zanzibar have multiple languages and identities but still manage to operate as single states or unions. And sitting under all of this, there was a recurring concern, migration. Why are so many Malawians in Zimbabwe? Why do Zambians go south? Why do Zimbabweans go to South Africa? Some said, if you create a union, everyone from Malawi and Zambia will flood Zimbabwe. Others worried about Zimbabweans themselves being mistreated in South Africa. One commenter said openly that there is growing discomfort in Zimbabwe about people whose ancestors came from Malawi or Zambia and fears about what might happen if political dynamics change. This is where we must be very honest with ourselves as Africans, because this is no longer just an economic conversation. This is a heart conversation. When someone writes, Malawi has nothing to offer except witchcraft, or Blantyre looks like a village, or we don't need them, that is not analysis anymore. That is contempt. When someone says, we want Malawians and Zambians to go back, they bring nothing. That is not debate. That is xenophobia, even if it's wrapped in economic language. And we need to be clear, if we justify that kind of thinking in one country, we are also justifying the mistreatment of Zimbabweans in South Africa, or Zambians in Botswana, or Malawians in any other country. You cannot say, we don't want foreigners here, and then be surprised when your own people are treated badly elsewhere. The same spirit you tolerate at home will follow you abroad. Now let's balance this. There were also comments that tried to push the conversation in a more constructive direction. People said, you don't need federation to benefit. Someone wrote a very thoughtful response saying, most of the benefits you're talking about can come from bilateral or multilateral cooperation, trade, infrastructure, movement of people without merging states. Another spoke of a future where SRZ could reach a point where citizens cross borders with just their national ID or even biometrics. That's not fantasy. That's a practical vision many regions are already working towards. Others reminded us that population size alone doesn't create prosperity. We have huge populations in countries like Nigeria, Ethiopia, or Pakistan with high levels of poverty, and small countries like Norway or Denmark with high living standards because their systems work. So the question isn't, can we combine GDPs and populations? The question is, can we improve governance, productivity, and cooperation? And then there was this beautiful shift from the word landlocked to land-linked. One brother suggested we stop thinking of ourselves as trapped and start thinking of ourselves as connected by lakes, roads, rail, rivers, and neighbors. That one word change, from landlocked to land-linked, speaks to the real heart of this conversation. Mindset. So where does this leave us? First, it is clear that a political federation like some United States of Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi would face huge challenges. You have different political systems, different economic strengths, fears of domination, and real resentments that still need healing. Some Malawians say, we don't need them. Some Zimbabweans say, we gain nothing from them. Some Zambians quietly fear being overshadowed. So I am not here to say tomorrow, let us merge. That would be irresponsible. But second, it is also clear that cooperation is not only possible, it is already happening, and it can be deepened without threatening anyone's identity or independence. We can strengthen trade corridors, we can modernize borders to be efficient instead of hostile, we can share skills. Zimbabwean engineers helping in Zambia, Zambian mining expertise helping elsewhere, Malawian agricultural knowledge spreading across the region. We can pursue shared power projects, rail, ports, and digital infrastructure. We can encourage student exchanges and regional scholarships. None of that requires one flag. It only requires one decision, that we see each other as partners, not enemies. Third, we have to address the way we speak about each other. It is one thing to say, in my view, this union doesn't make economic sense for Zimbabwe or for Malawi or for Zambia, and then explain your reasons. That is legitimate debate. It is another thing to say, these people are backward, they have nothing, they must go back home. That crosses a line. If we say we want a better Africa, but we still insult each other based on nationality, tribe, or perceived poverty, then we are not building bridges. We are building new colonial borders in our minds. I say this as a Zambian who grew up with Zimbabwean friends, who has Malawian relatives in my wider circles, and who now lives in the UK with brothers and sisters from across the continent. When we are here in the diaspora, we are just Africans. We support each other in hard times. We share food, we share stories, we share jokes. Nobody cares if you're from Muzu, Ndola, or Bulawayo when you're standing in the cold at a night shift. So why should we suddenly become enemies when we go back home? Finally, there is the question of who will actually change this. Many of you said greedy old leaders will never allow this. Others said it's up to the younger generation, and I think that's true in a very simple way. Not that young people will magically fix everything, but that the mindset of cooperation, respect, and regional thinking has to be built from the ground up. It starts with how we comment online. It starts with how we treat that Zimbabwean in Lusaka, or that Malawian in Harare, or that Zambian in Johannesburg. It starts with how we speak about each other in front of our children. It starts with challenging stereotypes, not inflaming them. We may never see a political union of Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi, and maybe that is not even the goal. But we can definitely choose to build a Southern Africa where our borders are not walls but gates, where our lakes are not just boundaries but shared resources, where our passports are not weapons against each other but tools for opportunity, and where our conversations, like the one under that video, become more about ideas and less about insults. So as we close, let me leave you with this thought. The old federation was created by colonial interests and collapsed under the weight of injustice and unequal power. If there is ever to be a new kind of unity in Southern Africa, it must be built very differently, not from the top down, but from the bottom up. Not from fear, but from trust. Not from arrogance, but from mutual respect. Not from the idea that we are better than them, but from the recognition that we rise together or we stay behind together. Thank you for listening, and thank you to everyone who commented, whether you agreed, disagreed, or just added a different angle. This is exactly why this channel exists, to have difficult, honest conversations in a respectful way. If this episode has made you think, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next Bridges to Prosperity discussion. And continue to comment, but let's do it with dignity. The world is watching how Africans talk about each other. Let's show them something different. This is Kelvin Peary, Building Dreams in Africa, and this has been the Bridges to Prosperity series. Until next time, stay blessed, stay hopeful, and let's keep building.